What's going on, everybody? Computer Guy Chris here with a new video series, Beginner's Python. Python is an extremely powerful programming language that can be used for everything from web development to data science and much, much more. But before getting into those techniques, you need to make sure that you understand the basics. In this video, we're going to be going over one of the main building blocks in Python, the for loop. The for loop is used to iterate through items one at a time and is extremely powerful and useful when building your code. So over here, I've got a couple of examples of different for loops, and let's go through each one to make sure that we understand them and how they can be used in Python. So the first example is just a basic for loop, kind of the most general and generic form of the for loop that can be used. And it's just when you have a list. So I have a list, option 1, option 2, option 3, and option 4. And I'm going to say for, this is the for loop. So for option in list, print option. And so what it's going to do is it's going to go through each item in the list, option 1, option 2, option 3, and then option 4, and print them out. So let's see that. If I do py for loop.py, and there it goes. It prints out option 1, option 2, option 3, and option 4. Now, one little note to make on this is I don't have to have it say for option in list. I need it to say list here because this is what I'm referencing. I want it to iterate through all of the items in this variable or in this list I call list. But if I wanted to call this opt, all I would have to do is change this down here to opt, and now it says for opt in list, print opt, and it's going to do the same thing for me if I just rerun that script. There it goes, option 1, option 2, option 3, option 4. So it doesn't matter what you name this variable, you can name it whatever you want as long as you reference it in that for loop, because that's what it'll be named. So this is kind of the most basic form of the for loop, and probably the one that you'll use the most in your code, but it's just good to make sure you understand this form of the for loop before getting into any of the other applications the for loop can be used for. So the second one, so I'm going to comment this out. The second type of for loop that is really, really useful is the for loop that utilizes enumerate. Enumerate is a built-in function within Python that, when utilized in congregation with the for loop, counts each iteration through the list, meaning in this example, again, we have our list, option 1, option 2, option 3, and option 4. And this time we say for I, comma, option in enumerate list, print I and option. Now, what this is going to do, enumerate is going to count the item in the list. So enumerate starts at 0. Most things in Python, they start at 0 and then they go up. So it's going to say 0, option 1, 1, option 2, 2, option 3, and 3, option 4. Now, what do those 0, 1, 2, 3 represent? They represent the item number within the list. So if we wanted to just get one of these, we could do something like this. We could do list and then 2. That's going to give us 0, 1, 2. That would print out option 3 if we were to do that. So it just kind of gives the position within the list. One other note, when you're using this form, when you're using enumerate, is you use whatever you want to call the number. It's typically donated as I, but you can use whatever you want. And then you put a comma and your second variable. So I is your first variable, option is your second variable, which we just saw in the last example. You can change to opt or whatever you want to use. And then in enumerate list. So let's go through this and see what it gives us. So just like I said, it's going to give us the number in the list and then the actual item in the list. So 0, option 1, 1, option 2, 2, option 3, and 3, option 4. So again, just the position in the list followed by the actual item in the list. And that's what enumerate does. Enumerate's very, very useful when you're going through a list. I use it all the time. All right, so the third example of what a for loop can be used for is the zip function. Now, similar to the enumerate function, the zip function is just a built-in function within Python. So if you've downloaded Python and installed it, it's already on your computer. All you have to do is type it in. And what I have here is list 1 and list 2. And list 1, just as before, has option 1, option 2, option 3, and option 4. And then list 2 has grade 1, grade 2, grade 3, and grade 4. And what we're going to do is use the zip function to kind of combine the two lists and run them both at the same time. So instead of iterating through one list, we're going to iterate through two lists at the same time. Again, very, very powerful and extremely useful when you're building your code. So what we're going to do is we're going to say for L1, comma L2 in zip list 1, comma zip list 2. So we're telling the program zip, as in these two things are together, and we're saying L1 references list 1 and L2 references list 2. And now we're going to print out L1, comma L2. And what it's going to give us is option 1, grade 1, option 2, grade 2, option 3, grade 3, and option 4, grade 4. So let's see that. So there we go. Option 1, grade 1, option 2, grade 2, option 3, grade 3, and option 4, grade 4. So with the zip function, you're able to iterate through two lists at the same time, but not just two lists. If you wanted to, you could iterate through more than two lists, and that's what we're going to see in this next example that I call for loop zip 3. So here we have three different lists. We have list 1, which has the same thing as before, list 2, which has the same thing as before, but now we have list 3, which has award 1, award 2, award 3, and award 4. And what we're going to do, very similar to the for loop that we wrote above, we're going to say for L1, comma L2, comma L3 in zip list 1, comma list 2, comma list 3, print L1, L2, and L3. So in this example, we're seeing that we're not limited to two lists. We can actually iterate through more than two lists. I'm showing 3 lists here, but you could do 4 lists. You could do 9 lists. You're really not limited in this. So again, it's a very, very powerful built-in function within Python. And what this is going to give us is it's going to write option 1, grade 1, award 1, and then option 2, grade 2, award 2, and so on. So let's just see that. Let's run it and take a look. And just like we said, option 1, grade 1, award 1, option 2, grade 2, award 2, option 3, grade 3, award 3. So again, zip function, another built-in function, just like enumerate, very, very powerful, super useful. Again, I use it all the time when I'm programming. So here, now we're going to see something kind of fun, and that is a combination of the different things that we've done before. So we have list 1, which has our options, and list 2, which has our grades. And what we're going to do is we're going to combine the two built-in functions, enumerate and zip. So remember, enumerate gives the list item, the placement of the list item within the list. So it's going to give us 0, 1, 2, 3. And the zip function allows us to combine the two lists and run them both at the same time. So we have for, and the syntax here is kind of important because I forget it all the time and it gives me an error when I mess it up. But what you have to do is you have to do for I. So I is going to be our number that comes from enumerate. So for I, comma, parentheses, L1, comma, L2. Now, if you had more than two lists, you would have for I, comma, parentheses, L1, comma, L2, comma, L3, comma, L4, whatever number of lists you have. Those all go within the parentheses. And then you say in, enumerate, zip, and then all your lists. So here in this example, we have enumerate, zip, list 1, and list 2. And then what we're telling it to do is we're telling it to print I, L1, and L2. So what this is going to print is it's going to say the 0 position is option 1, grade 1. The 1 position is option 2, grade 2. The 2 position is option 3, grade 3. And the 3 position is option 4, grade 4. So let's just see that go. There we go. And just like we said, 0 position, option 1, grade 1. 1 position, option 2, grade 2, and so on. So right now we're taking a look at all these different uses for loops, and it's really powerful, right? There's a lot you can do with this. Whenever you need to look through a list or look through a bunch of options and you're looking for a specific thing, or you're looking to put some things over here and some things over there or whatever you're using it for, it's a very, very useful building block within Python. But we're not just limited to lists. And what I want to show you here with this last example is another really, really powerful use for the for loop. And that's when the for loop is used with a dictionary. So in all of these other examples, what we've been doing is we've been looking at for loops being used with lists, going through each item in a list. But in this example, we're going to look at a for loop being used on a dictionary. So a dictionary has key value pairs. So you say this key leads you to a certain value. And it's really great if you want to do things like grades. You might say a dictionary might be like Sally has a 93, Bob has a 84. And so you have the person's name as the key and their grade is the value. So it's really easy to get right into that dictionary and find out a certain thing for a specific key. But what we're going to do here with the for loop is we're going to iterate through the keys of a dictionary. So we have our dictionary, dict equals, we have key 1, value 1, key 2, value 2, and key 3, value 3. And what we're going to do is we're going to say for key in dictionary. Again, this doesn't have to be key. That's what I made it for simplicity, but you could make it K or really whatever you want, as long as you're consistent throughout within the for loop. But I'm going to say, sorry about that, there's some thunder and lightning going on outside. But what I'm going to say is for key in dictionary, print dictionary key. So what this is actually going to do is it's going to iterate through a dictionary and give us the keys for the dictionary. But what we're going to output is the value that that key represents. Super, super powerful, right? So let's just see how that goes. We're going to run it right here. And we get val 1, val 2, val 3. So again, what it's doing is it's going through the dictionary. And this for loop, the key is equal to key 1, key 2, or key 3. But when we pass it within the dictionary, we're actually getting the value. And that just brings the for loop to an entirely new level. You can use it for so many different things. And I have in a lot of other projects. If you watch some of my other videos, particularly the one on building a Robinhood trading bot, I use these for loops all the time. So I hope this has been helpful to any of you guys who are just getting into Python, are kind of looking into it, but might not be totally sure what it is. Python is a really great language to start with. It's very, very user-friendly. But I hope this has helped explain what a for loop is and some of the different use cases for for loops. So if you like this video, please leave a like. That really helps out the channel. And as always, thanks and subscribe.